Hi friends, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about visual thinking. Learning how to think visually is going to unlock one of your greatest dyslexic superpowers. In this video, I'm going to give you an overview of visual thinking and then show you how to get started. So here's how the video is structured. Check out the description below for the timestamp. Hi friends, my name is Nishanta. I'm a dyslexic science teacher teaching here in Southern California. You're watching How to Dyslexia, the show where I'm sharing my journey to mastering dyslexia and learning to thrive in life. When I first discovered visual thinking, it was pretty much an accident. But I was really surprised with the results. So I was in college, I was taking this really challenging physics class. And the reason why it was really hard for me was not because the concepts or the content was hard. I actually felt like I understood the concepts. But the reason why it was so hard was because of how the tests were formatted. So we'd have these multiple choice, timed word problems that we pretty much had to do every 2 weeks. And I really struggled with those because at the time I was still having issues with decoding and comprehending. And I haven't learned the strategies on how to become a competent reader yet. It took me a long time to solve each problem because I would spend a lot of time reading the questions and trying to figure out what it was asking. Then after I figured out what the question was trying to ask, I had to rush through the calculations, and oftentimes it would give me a result that was not even on the multiple choice answers. So most of the time I had to guess on these exams, and I got pretty bad grades in that class. And that class is really important because I needed to pass it and get a good grade on it in order to progress into my major. Then during my midterm exam, my TI-89 calculator died. I think it ran out of batteries or something. Without my calculator, I was pretty much out of luck. So at that point, I had no choice but to kind of guess on these questions. So instead of trying to look at the questions and trying to extract the numbers that I needed to put into a calculator, I started drawing these problems out so I can solve them without using formulas and calculations. So I would draw the picture and imagine this thing, what the problem happening in my head, and try to look at the answers that were given in the multiple choice and try to figure out which one would fit. And surprisingly, some of the answers just clicked. They just seemed to make sense without even having to do any calculations. So I did pretty much all my questions that way, and I turned it in, and I was really surprised because that midterm, I got my first A in the class. And that experience showed me how powerful visual thinking was. Now, I'm a science teacher now, and one of the most effective ways I teach students in my class right now is by having them draw out science concepts, and we call these sketch notes. In the next part of this video, I'm going to show you 12 visual thinking techniques. They're really simple to learn, but once you learn them, you can combine them together to create really powerful results. So let's just jump in. All right, guys, so these 12 techniques come from this book called The Doodle Revolution by Sunni Brown. It's a really good book. I highly recommend it if you want to get more into visual thinking. I'm going to quickly go over the 12 techniques with you guys, and then I'll do a demonstration right here on the screen so you can quickly see it. In the future video, I'm probably going to do more content around these 12 techniques. So stick around for that, or if you don't want to wait for those content, check out this book. So the first technique is drawing stick figures. Stick figures look like this. There's basically 5 parts, 6 parts to a stick figure. There's a head, the body, hands, and legs. And by positioning the hands and legs and body and head in certain ways, so you can make your stick figure do certain activities like sitting or running or talking to people or thinking, all these different things, a visual representation of what a person's doing using stick figures. So the second technique is faces. Faces are really simple. All you got to do is draw a circle, and then inside the circle you're going to put the features like eyes, nose, mouth, eyebrows, ears, things like that. And depending on how you orient these different features, you can make your face have different expressions. This next technique is called typography, and basically with this technique what you're trying to do is you're trying to use the spellings or how you design the sentence to also have another meaning. So for example, you can have the sentence crushing the competition. You can have the word crushing on top of the word competition, and then you could be laying on top of it. Daddy? Yes, sweet girl? I'm ready. Okay, let me just finish this, okay? Okay. We're almost done. All right, and the next one. Oh, okay, thank you. Or another one could be this message is all jumbled up, and then you can jumble up the spelling of jumble, so when people read it, it actually has a visual meaning as well as a verbal meaning. The next technique is actually using different fonts that convey different things. So when we look at the word war, there is a certain feeling we get, and there's a certain font that's always been associated with like old-time war propaganda and things. So I mean, look at this word using this particular font, we get the feeling of war. Or like the word robot written in like all digital text kind of gives us that feeling, right? So it has a double meaning that goes into it. The next technique is called word pictures, and basically what you're doing with this technique is you're drawing out, like for example, the word grass. You can have blades of grass spelling out the word grass. So it also has like this double meaning to it. So the next technique is called captions, and basically what you're doing is you're drawing a picture or an image or a symbol, and then you're clarifying what that image or the symbol is by giving it context. So if you draw a picture of a dog, and if it could be mistaken for a bear, if you just write dog on it, now you have context for that picture, and there's no way other people are going to get confused, or you're going to get confused in the future about what that image is. So captions is something that I use often when I don't know how to draw something or something just looks ambiguous. The next two techniques are related. They're called connectors and separators. So connectors is when you show relationships between two things. So you can draw an apple on the floor and then a tree, and then you can draw an arrow to the tree, and then when people look at it, they'll kind of assume, oh, this apple used to belong to this tree, or like this tree and this apple is related. The next technique is separators. So separators are either like a dash across the page or a squiggly line to show that two things are not the same. So you can have an apple on one side and an orange on one side, and you can draw a squiggly line to say that they're separate, or you can have a dash across them to say that these two things are different. And you can use these to compare and contrast different ideas. The next technique is using frames. So frames are just drawing squares or circles or ovals or stars or triangles around certain ideas or pictures or words that gives it like more emphasis, and it separates it from the rest of the visual note that you'll be taking. The next one is called bullets, and when you're doing bullets, what you're basically doing is you're putting emphasis on certain activities. So instead of having a bunch of like a wall of text, you can separate your ideas out into these bullets. It can be like bullets, stars, or like there's a bunch of different ways to draw bullets, but by using them, you're putting emphasis on certain ideas. And the last two techniques is shadowing and giving things detail. Shadowing is another way to create emphasis on like certain pictures or words or fonts, and what you're doing is you're kind of lifting it off the page, and then you're kind of saying that this has like a 3D type effect, and that when someone looks at it, at first people are going to, their eyes are going to be drawn to this thing because it has shadows on it. The last thing is adding details. This is my favorite thing to do. If you have something really cool on your page and you want to emphasize it, you can keep everything else kind of plain and then put a lot of details onto the thing that you want to emphasize, and it'll kind of pop off into your page. So those are the 12 techniques. I'm going to do more videos on these. Matter of fact, they're probably done. Click right here, check out more videos on visual note taking. This will actually change the way you think. It'll actually change the way you learn. It'll really improve your life like it's improved my life. All right, guys, love you. Talk to you soon.